Everyone says spiritual awakening changes your life, but no one tells you it breaks you first. You think you're evolving, but you're really just drowning quietly, calling it peace. Today, I'm not here to glamorize spirituality, I'm here to tell you what really happens when the light fades away and how to survive it. So, to give a background, I'd like to give my story to you guys so that you could, you know, try relating it with it as much as possible. I started as a skeptic. I was kind of a rationalist, pure rationalist, and I turned to spirituality to actually escape depression, burnout, emptiness. And I used to feel this um, vacant space inside of my life, kind of a void which was unfillable, if that's a word. I tried everything. I tried meditation, I tried journaling, I tried gurus, I tried YouTube content. For a while, for quite a while it worked until it stopped working. And what came next, nobody actually prepares you for. It was such a nightmare for me, something which I felt was a boon in my life, as good as spirituality, became one of the worst curses that I could ever imagine. So there were some traps that I went through. One of the traps was the first trap, which I'd like to point out, was the desire disguised as enlightenment. When I started my spiritual journey, and as I progressed in my spiritual journey, there was this notion that you start craving for enlightenment. And my mind started processing it as another form of desire. Like people enter spirituality wanting relief from pain. That's still desire, don't you think? The desire to escape desire. You actually don't transcend suffering, you just spiritualize your ego. You start stroking your ego, which is bad in itself. People start chasing stillness the same way we chase success. Maybe you might be wandering into the abyss to change that stillness, but you know but instead chase something which is success, which is not one of the pillars of spirituality. Spirituality preaches removing desires, but you fell into a trap of this desire. So all in all, the dark night doesn't begin when you are lost, it begins when you think you are found. The dark night of the soul is, it's not just awakening, it's a collapse. You feel like your identity is burning from the inside. You start hating people. I started hating people. I started hating my work. You may start hating yourself. And the concept of self-love, which spirituality calls for as one of its pillars, starts crumbling away. It's like, salt water eating away on the iron. You consider yourself to be iron-willed, this strong personality, but it feels like there is salt water around you and it's consuming you as we speak. You actually cannot go back to your old self, but you also don't know how to become the new one. You are stuck in this loop. You cannot go back. You cannot move forward. You're stuck in this limbo, which is very difficult to escape. You don't want to die, but you don't want to exist either. It's a delusional situation. It's filled with dilemma. What to do, what not to do. Every step that, I used to take, or maybe you would be taking, leads towards something which is very uncalled for. And I'd like to give a quotation here by the famous psychoanalyst Carl Jung, which is, I quote, "No tree can grow to heaven unless its root reach down to hell," I unquote. So this gives us, when I read this quote, as I was stuck in my spiritual journey, this gave me a sigh of relief, which is kind of the dark night equals descent before integration, that this was meant to be. This was the missing link in our spiritual journey, that there might be a beautiful path waiting for us beyond this, whatever we are trying to see. And my story was no different. I, went through this detachment realization. In business, since I'm an entrepreneur, every failure used to crush me. And I used to believe that people cared about my mistakes, but they didn't. I tried segregating myself from the crowd, and later did I understand that the world doesn't actually give a flying fuck. I took decisions which were bad, and that created a chain of events, and I kept taking bad decisions which costed kind of my life. My life was in shambles. But what I realized was one decision doesn't define your worth. Detachment isn't cold. When we think of detachment, we are told since we were growing up that detachment of any form, alienation of any form is pretty bad. But after coming out of this continuous cycle of this loop, this vicious cycle of dark night of the soul, I understood that detachment is clarity in disguise. You need to act in the present. You don't turn every outcome into a wound. And this is where you find your sanity. The second trap that I'd like to cover would be the trap of spiritual ego. After this darkness, a new trap appears. Let's say you are going through this roller coaster ride, you face this darkness, a new trap appears, which is spiritual superiority. Since you saw the uttermost depths of your journey and you tried coming out of it, or you came out of it, you are in the process of coming out of it, you think you are spiritually superior than everyone, and that is where you develop spiritual ego. You think I'm beyond people. They don't get it. You get into this new trap where you stop arguing not out of peace but out of pride. You think argument is bad, okay, but you stop arguing because this pride takes over. Real spirituality humbles you. The fake one just rebrands your arrogance, and it's repackaging of your arrogance in a different form, different shape or form, which you think is you transcending into a higher spiritual journey, but it's messing you up inside out. The trap 3 is toxic positivity and pop spirituality, which is the modern spirituality, which has become kind of this dopamine and escapism. And what people are doing is they are chanting too many mantras, too many good vibe only reels, good vibes only. We are having a good vibe. We are going through scrolling your Instagram, going through reels, scrolling through your TikTok, and you see people, claiming stuff which you can't even apply in your life, which might not even apply in your case. People meditate to avoid darkness, not meet it actually. True growth is always equal to integration. It's not denial. So my message would be to stop trying to feel good all the time. Start getting real. You are not meant to feel good. Life would take this fucking U-turn. You need to understand this, my friend. This was meant to be. This was written in your spiritual journey. And this is how you tread through. There is actually a way out of this, which is as simple as integration. You actually cannot skip the descent. You live through it consciously. By awakening, if I ask you what's the definition of awakening according to you, before going forward into this video, I'd like you to comment down in the comment section down below, what's the definition of awakening for you? For me, awakening isn't living life, it's learning to stay in it. It's learning to accept it. And I've used various tools throughout my journey, like sleeping, following a circadian pattern, following a sleep schedule, journaling, stillness, mentorship, community. I found my people. I found my calling. I found philosophical anchors like Stoicism, existentialism, absurdism, wherein I learned detachment is equal to presence without obsession. You need to adapt to it. People ask me how to escape the dark night of the soul. People who work with me, who come into my coaching program. By the way, if you want to check that out, link is in the description. People go through it. And my only answer to them is you don't escape the dark night, you integrate with it until it no longer owns you. We have to learn to live with it. That is why philosophical tools have been my cornerstone. Tools like existentialism, absurdism, which actually taught me how to embrace all of this. And I just like to empower you before going. If you are in this phase, you're not actually crazy. You're just shedding what's false. It's like metamorphosis, not Franz Kafka's metamorphosis, kind of, but it's more of you shedding your cocoon and the butterfly within is waiting to fly out. It feels like dying because the ego doesn't go quietly. It's a beast which is very difficult to let go. It doesn't want to fucking go. That's a very difficult thing. But if you want me to make a video on how to actually get out, do comment down below. Until then, I just recommend you to stay grounded, stay human, and always remember, please never confuse silence with peace. Until then, meet you in the next one. Peace out.